It's another darkening sky here at Clipston Old Court, and the traffic you can hear is heading between Mansfield and Edwinstowe on Peafield Lane. A bit late in starting this evening, and it's the first time I've been here actually since June the 18th, and we're now on June the 30th. So I don't know where that time has gone. I really don't, because it doesn't seem that long since I last came here and had good numbers. And it was after that date that a count of 85, I think it was made here. But then just days after that, there was a count of 7, not over the whole site, admittedly, but indications are that glowworm numbers are on the decline and the season is starting to wind down, and that's mirrored by data from Harlow Wood site elsewhere in Nottinghamshire, where numbers have dropped considerably from a peak a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know what's in store, how many glowworms I'm going to find. They may be all on the top path and in the darkest part of what's now a very dark site. Well, we have our first glowworm just over halfway down section O, and glowing nicely at the side of the track. This is a female, that's a new one, on the left hand side as I'm walking down, and the breeze is picking up, which will stop the temperature from dropping, but she's glowing very nicely, quite a few inches up off the ground, and is hanging on to a couple of blades of grass. But as I was walking down O, I was beginning to think that I wasn't going to see any. So to get a new female, the first one is a good sign. At least we should get a few tonight, and she's performing really well. She's tucked quite well in a small clump of what's probably cocksfoot grass, but I can't tell, but she's performing very nicely, and she looks a decent size too. Just zoomed in a little bit, show her really well. All the glowing plates are in place. Fabulous. No matter how many times I come out into the darkness of the forest and see these fabulous beetles, I always get the same buzz from seeing them. No sign of a male with this female. Lovely. So carry on down section O, and then it'll be along sections L, and I'll see where I go from there. I don't know which route I'm doing, whether I'm doing the full route or the shorter route. We'll see how many of these we see along the next few sections. Well, I've just walked through section L for the first time. I've seen one female glowing in section L. I'm now up section P. I have a female glowworm at the side of me, but it's the evening chorus that's the best thing here. What a fabulous, evocative sound. Heard beautifully on a particularly still night like this. It's taking a breath. It's moved off. It stopped the characteristic chirring that male nightjars do, and then when they're in flight they give that characteristic sort of quick call in flight. Brilliant. I shouldn't have put a jumper on this evening, but I did because I thought it was cool, and indeed it felt quite cool walking down through section O and then along section L. However, now I'm hot, and that's purely because I put a jumper on. Fancy putting a jumper on in June like an idiot. But anyway, ended up with 3 females in section O, and then I noted 1 female as I walked through section L for the first time, but she wasn't glowing on the way back, so I'm presuming that she's now got a male and they're in cop somewhere low in the vegetation and out of sight. There was a single female in section P, but nothing in section M, and that's not surprising because section M is always one of the first sections to become active in any given year. When Dillis and I used to record here regularly, and it was always about the first section where activity ended, so there's no surprise in there, but it'll still probably produce the odd glowworm over the next couple of weeks. And say I went up section N, and there was 1 female glowing right at the bottom of section N, but that section also seems to have ceased being active. However, there will be some late glowworms, and hopefully there'll be some up the next 2 survey sections uphill, God forbid, in sections K and J, and then we go along the top path, the darkest part of the site. Well, we have another female in section K, this one, about halfway up. I thought as I was walking up here that we weren't going to get one, but this one is on the right, and she's deep in some grass, glowing at a rather strange angle. Her body, or the front part of the body, and the head and the pronotum are sort of this side of the glowing plates. We're looking almost straight down on this one, but she's glowing very well. You can just see the legs moving. The 2 anal plates, as we always used to call them, seem particularly bright on this one. So we're doing all right, but it's obvious that numbers have declined, and it will be interesting to see whether there will be another little bit of a peak over the next week or so. So we'll continue on up section K, and then through section J, and then along the top path from the centre tree. Just listening to this nightjar again. It's doing the same route as it does most nights. Whether it's an unpaired male or not, I don't know, but chances are it will move over towards section E after it's been here. Chirring well though, and close by. Right, time to head upwards. Well, I've gone through several sections so far along the top path. I've gone through section F, which is the first section from the top of J, and 1 female glowworm in there. Down section I there was none, but there was one technically in section I right at the very top. Otherwise, section I seems to be another one of those survey sections which has ceased to become active, but there's still time for odd ones yet. So it was then along section G, which is where I'm filming this very nice female glowworm here, and I was at the point of turning back when about 10 yards in front of me I caught the glimpse of a light on the right hand side of the path, and another short walk and 4 female glowworms here, 2 either side of the path, so worth the walk. And this one's being a bit camera shy. She's now hiding behind some item of vegetation. Look at that! Oh, thank you very much. Superb. I get a kick out of seeing that happen every time when they swing round. Fabulous. They always show up particularly well along this top path, which was always the darkest path because over the years the trees either side, the canopy closed up over this path. One time a day when there used to be more glowworms along here, many of the glowworms or the females used to walk out directly into the middle of the path on an evening and glow directly along the middle of that path. They would be in a line and it was like cat's eyes. Because some of the trees were cut back to open up this ride, it has made it better for females like this very showy one here. And there is some work that is being arranged now to open up some of the smaller sections like section S and section E, especially section E and section P and N. There's a number of these smaller sections which have become very overgrown, and just cutting back the developing scrub will make it better for these wonderful beetles. And as you can probably hear, I am not alone up here. We have one juvenile tawny owl that is screeching for food. All I've got is a jelly baby, and it's not having it. So back along through section G, down H and past the centre tree and down sections S and E. What a beauty this one is. Well, it's getting late. It's round about midnight-ish and I'm just at the bottom of section E at the moment, just about to go up D before I come down back through D, C, B and A, which are the grass strip. And there are some Noctilucent clouds low in the north that I can see. It's no good me trying to film them with this. I'd need a GoPro, so that might be a little job when I get home. But after going along the top path, I went past the centre tree, down along section S, which there were no glowworms in section S, and only 2 quite well spaced females along section E. I don't anticipate any in the grass strip here, but we'll give it a go. Got to walk through it, but I'll be surprised if there's one in the grass strip, but you never know. Glowworms have surprised me countless times in the past. Well, I was right about there being nothing at all in the grass. One thing that I've learnt from this evening's yomp around Clipston Old Quarter is that the 2024 glowworm season is on the decline. I've ended up with a total of 17 from what I can remember, because some idiot forgot to bring his notebook. That might have been me, but an inquest will reveal who the real culprit was. But joking aside, rather worrying that the glowworm season is in a decline, and we're only at the end of June. 10 or so years ago we would still be looking at a second peak, a rise in the numbers again after a traditional early peak about 10 or 11 days into the season. That seems to have ended now, and the seasons seem to be shorter. One time a day we could get glowworms up to the end of July and even into August occasionally. Those days seem long gone. So maybe another visit in a few days' time.